Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, without any welcome drink. But again, it's a big honor for me to welcome you to our 17th Aviation Women Panel. In 2021, it will be the last one, unfortunately. But it will not be the last one forever because we have many further Aviation Women panels scheduled for next year. My name is Daniel Stecher. I'm Vice President Airline Operations IBS Software. I'm the facilitator here, and I'm so delighted to have our second male guest speaker in our Ladies Beyond Flying Aviation Women panel. Ladies Beyond Flying, one of the, or maybe the most diverse and most inclusive group in the world, because we also invite smart, enthusiastic, positive and upbeat male on stage. And today we have a presentation from Björn Janke, from my fellow industry colleagues of Lufthansa Systems, and he's talking about the setup and work of the Lufthansa Group LGBTIQ plus network Diversifly. And I wish us amazing 45 to 60 minutes, Björn. How many minutes do you think you will need for your presentation? Stage is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the introduction. And thank you very much for giving the opportunity to speak here. And I think we will maybe need half an hour for the presentation and have a couple more minutes for the questions. So, but I'm happy to also answer questions in between if you have something that come right up and can't wait any longer. Feel free to go. Also, I'm starting the presentation in a minute, but I might not be able to see because of today I only have one screen, unfortunately, which was not planned that way. But so I may not be able to see when questions come in. So feel free to raise your voice once they come.
I will help you. I will help you and will tell you that there's a question.
Very good, very good. Maybe before I start as well, just a short introduction to my person. I'm Björn. I'm with Lufthansa Systems. I'm a consultant with Lufthansa Systems. I've been here with Lufthansa for 6 years already in this unit. And as Lufthansa Systems, we consult airlines within the Lufthansa, within the aviation industry, as well as Lufthansa internally. Working mostly on IT projects and implementing new software, but also my focus is on change management, so the soft skill side of the topic as well. And besides that, I work as I'm in the spokesperson circle of the Lufthansa LGBTIQ network that I will be talking about today. I need to drink something because my voice is already. I'm starting the presentation now, and you will just quickly see yourself, but then I'll move over to presentation. So, okay. You should be able to see the presentation enlarged now. Okay, the LGBTIQ plus network of the Lufthansa Group is called Diversifly. You see it on the screen here. Our logo and our slogan is "We color the air," and we are really proud of this. We are very proud of the name. We are very proud of the logo as well, that I will talk more about in the upcoming minutes as well. And I would like to give you an introduction. Okay, the Lufthansa Group is not just the Lufthansa Airlines. And this is where we usually start, because sometimes people think of Lufthansa. Yes, there is the crane that we see here in the middle, but it's not just the crane. So the Lufthansa Group consists of like 10 different passenger airlines or 10 different airlines, but also various entities, like airlines such as Lufthansa, Swiss and Austrian we have here. The Eurowings you see on the right side. There is also Brussels Airlines, Air Dolomiti, and some others that are not mentioned here right now. We have the Lufthansa Cargo entity as an airline. We have service companies like Lufthansa Technik. We have Lufthansa Flight Training, LSG. I'm work with Lufthansa Systems, as mentioned before, and there's some others mentioned here as well. So this just like who is the Lufthansa Group and who can also be members of our network, for example, to start with. There's a couple of numbers that are mostly out of 2019. We had more than 100,000 employees. It's also a question I always ask when I talk to other networks from other companies. So I'm responsible for partnerships to other companies, to networks with other companies, and it's always a good indicator to see, okay, how many employees does this company have in total, and then how many of those are members in an LGBTIQ plus network, because it also tells you much about how far are we spread, have we spread our wings in the respective companies. Lufthansa Group has like 300 has about 300 destinations internationally. Yeah, 2 million tons of cargo, quite interesting. More than 700 aircraft in the fleet, which have been reduced a bit during the pandemic, but still quite a lot. And meals by LSG, okay, that's a number. Also a couple of interesting numbers, which areas we go to, or the Lufthansa Group airlines go to. So it was like in 2019, it was like around about 13,000 weekly connections to 318 destinations in 102 countries worldwide. I want to tell you something about our network, about the goals of our network. Before I go a little bit into the history and where we came from and where we are going, just maybe to set the scene about the goals of the network. We stand for acceptance and diversity, and we especially look at the workforce of Lufthansa, at the staff members, and try to help them embrace their talents regardless of sex, sexual identity, sexual orientation, and identity. So that's like the usually the dimensions we look at, and we want to promote mutual understanding for each other, and minimize prejudice in this case, especially when employees are interacting with each other, but also externally. And we intend to make the Lufthansa Group a leading employer for LGBTI employees. So there's different pillars this entails. It's the pillar that I just mentioned, acceptance and diversity. We want to do this by being more than an after-work network. So initially this network started to be, it's a completely voluntary network. Initially this started out of afterworks that have been organized by some colleagues. And it was never an official entity within the Lufthansa Group up until 2018. So we want to be more than that, more also support giving. We want to include friends that support the same goals. So this is what we are doing here. As a male speaker, I'm still supporting the goals of the Ladies Beyond Flying network. And I want to be an ally, I want to be a friend. And the same way, we are trying to encourage non-LGBTIQ identifying people to be part of our network.
So does it mean that you're also inviting, say, maybe Ladies Beyond guest speakers to some of your events? Are you running events also for your group?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we are running events. I will talk about some of the events today. We are organizing events. We are just about to start like a lunch, kind of a lunch talks as well. There could be a good possibility to include this. We see us responsible for the interests for the interests of the community, and as first point of contact in case of discrimination. in case they don't want to go to the, especially because often it's the case that that colleagues don't want to go to the official entities and want to have a peer-to-peer contact first, and that's where we see ourselves in the responsible. We want to embrace their talents, as mentioned before, support, for example, and when they have questions regarding their outing and they're uncertain about it, collaborate with interfaces like Workers' Council, staff representation on the operations side, etc. Promote understanding and appreciation by conducting diversity workshops and also including management into those ones. We work closely together with internal communications and try to have our events not just in Frankfurt and in Munich, which are the hubs of Lufthansa, but also obviously in the hubs of the other airlines and in our other locations such as Hamburg or Berlin, for example, or Cape Town. We have events where there's no hub, which also means there's not much workforce, but we still want to be present there and have events there. In public diversity events such as Pride festivals, obviously. And in regards to this last goal that we set here of being Lufthansa Group being the leading employer, we do help promote our goals and our events on social media, and work together, for example, with Be Lufthansa to find new talents that are also from the community and that share the state of mind that we embrace here. We have consolidated a couple of numbers. We have currently have 356 members from 16 countries in the network. Members in this case means colleagues that are signed up for our newsletter and colleagues that are also part of the internal Yammer group that we have. Yeah, we also, you see that on the right side of this chart, we also have 700 Instagram followers, but obviously they can come from anywhere, so basically they are not counted as members. We have we are visible or present in 24 plus locations worldwide. And in the middle screen, you can also see like how those are distributed throughout the locations. So most of them are in Frankfurt, as this is the main hub of Lufthansa, and also we originated from here. The second most in Munich, Hamburg, but then already Brussels, which is quite surprising because Brussels was we only found a responsible person in Brussels this year. So that was quite a big jump already, and Vienna and other locations on the other places.
Talking about the figures and the 356, and so can you also share some insights about, let's say, activity level? Are all members very active, or is there, let's call it a core group? How you keep also the members engaged beside, let's say, the items you have mentioned earlier?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Daniel, because yes, it's a very small core group that is, we will see the group later on, but it's a very small core group that is active usually. It's a bit, it's a challenge to keep members engaged, to keep them active. I think we see that in this network, we see it in other networks as well. It might also be the case in Ladies Beyond Flying, that it's a challenge to keep them interested, to keep them engaged, to make members especially see the benefit of such an organization, and realize that it's good for them to be active here. But then once someone has taken on a topic, like organizing an event, they are very active, and we have great results here. So and that's also some of the items I want to show you here. But it's always a challenge that we also, just 3 weeks ago, we had a strategy workshop on how to set up our next 2 years. 1 to 2 years, and what will be our main topics. And this was one of it, like how do we keep members engaged and try to get to them more closely and stay in, like, good communications is a big factor, because we realized we still, because it's so scattered in terms of companies within the Lufthansa Group, but also countries and cultures, and people in management functions, people in office management functions, people in operations. It's really hard to get to everyone in the same manner communication-wise. So first challenge for us is actually reach everyone. Make Diversifly and its goals and its events known to everyone, because still it's very hard to, for example, to get to every flight attendant or to every colleague who works in the hangar of Lufthansa Technik, because they have totally different means of communication, corporate communication. So that's where we need to work together with communication a lot, because our goal is, once we have the Durchdringungsrate in German, we've gone through to everyone, every employee, about making us known as a network, the engagement level will be higher as well.
And do you have also, let's say, getting new members is of course one communication challenge, but also the communication amongst these 356 members? You have also WhatsApp group, Signal group, Facebook group, LinkedIn group, or how you communicate with the members? Is it via email only?
No, we communicate via email, via Yammer, which is an internal Facebook, so to say. We have, but then, for example, that's a challenge. The flight attendants, a group of flight attendants and our operations staff, they don't have access to Yammer, so they usually use Facebook, where we don't have an own presence at the moment, because every communication channel, and Daniel, you will know that, is hard work. Every communication channel you open up again is hard work. And that means we cannot have all the channels played. But then we have colleagues who from the cabin crews who are active and then communicate to the cabin crews on those channels, for example. But our main channels are newsletter, Yammer group, the Instagram channel. And we also have a Teams group that's Microsoft Teams. That's rather for the organization core team, and then like Signal groups for the respective little groups, like under groups that I will show you later, like partnerships, events, communication, and safe haven. Yeah.
But I think that will be then an interesting conversation maybe at the end of your session, to really see how we can support each other, because I think at the end we are only boiling with water, and maybe we can find some best practice from both groups. And then hopefully you make the next presentation, you have 716 members and we have more than 1,000.
That'd be great. One more figure I wanted to show on this slide is we have 82% of male participants in the network that identify as male, 18% that identify as female. Currently, no members that we know of that identify as non-binary, for example. We know they are there. They might not be wanting to share this information with us, which is fine. Still, we are keen to change because we know also in the last couple of months we were quite active extending our base of female members, because we know they are there, we know they are interested. But sometimes our female members are not so need to be encouraged, and I think that's what this group is for. So if you see this webcast or listen to it, there will be some contact information at the end that you can go to, and you are a Lufthansa Group member, a Lufthansa Group employee. Please come to us.
So that's a must. You cannot be, let's say, an external member of this group. You have to be within the Lufthansa group.
Yeah, that's a must. Yeah, being an employee of the Lufthansa group is a must. Yeah. Sorry, I have not mentioned that.
Yeah, but no problem. You can consider to also allow Lufthansa miles and more card holders, or Lufthansa frequent travelers. That would, of course, enlarge the group a bit.
Yeah, good point. I think we haven't considered it because I have also not seen it with other employee networks. Usually, it's really focused on the crowd of employees. It'd be a point for discussion.
Yeah, it's the interesting topic is here, and that's why I'm very proud that Ladies Beyond Flying is probably the most inclusive club in the world, because we are not excluding anybody. And that's interestingly the point that many so-called inclusive groups excluding other. So that's why maybe a food for thought to also include passengers and customers and so on.
Yeah, it's a good point. I've always seen employee networks as being employees for that respective employer. So, and we are an employee network. That's what we were founded for. It might be a redefinition of the network then. But I can take it up. Thank you very much for the hint, because I think neither of us has thought about it yet.
And maybe last idea as a compromise, as I'm an Lufthansa alumni, maybe also inviting the alumni to the group. So they were already employees of Lufthansa, and maybe they rejoin. You never know.
And that's actually a good point, because that's where it's broken up already, right? Because we have alumni in our network, and that's where we are already breaking up this. We only employees are part of our network. Love it. Thank you very much. We have, through the pandemic, there is a couple of members that have left the company, and there you see again, Daniel, this is a criteria, but I know there are members still there who have left the company but said, I want to be in the network as an alumni and still get the information and attend for example, your after work events, because they are open to anyone who wants to join. And but despite some members having left the company, we have also been able to expand location-wise. Because we added new groups in North America. We have one responsible in Chicago now, who tries to expand the network there, but also like organize events, participations in pride parades, for example, and liaise, because that's not our hubs are there. Liaise, for example, with United Airlines employee network. Because they are based in Chicago, he's based in Chicago. We don't have so many employees in Chicago, so why not liaise with like partner networks and join forces, so to say. We have a very active colleague in Cape Town who is from Lufthansa In Touch, and she's been setting up great events also together in collaboration with other employee networks. I brought her together with SAP, for example, who are rather big in Cape Town, and we had a really nice event that I'm mentioning on later. And we have a new colleague in Vienna from Austrian Airlines who's setting up something there, and also a lady from Eurowings where the first afterworks have taken place in Cologne and in Düsseldorf, which was great this year. Maybe a little look back. The network itself started with unofficial and informal afterwork events and a blind copy email distribution list already in the mid 2010s, and up until some people realized we should make this more official, and said like, and we're also keen to get it off the ground. And so in 2018 there were some first official talks with Lufthansa. A little send out was made to the members of this distribution list, like what the name should be, and to hand in name proposals. And it actually came up that Diversifly is the name that has been selected by most of the members. I think there was also a prize someone won for it. And on the 24th of May 18, the network was officially founded, while on 21st of June we had the first public appearance. That was also together with the first Pride takeoff, we call it, which is like a reception at the Lufthansa Aviation Center in Frankfurt, where we invite other company networks, LGBTIQ company networks from the region or that we are partnering up with to attend. And it'd be great to have the Ladies Beyond flying there next year, because since last year it's a hybrid event as well. In 2019, we started local groups in Hamburg and Munich, and attended quite big, actually, in Frankfurt, Munich, and Berlin Prides, with a truck as well as walking groups. That was really successful. We'll see a couple of pictures in the next slide on that one. We selected Wilken Bormann as a patron of the network because during the Pride events in 2019, he stood out in being a big supporter, ally and supporter of the network, by, for example, engaging with Munich Airport. He was CEO of the hub in Munich, Lufthansa hub in Munich at that time, and he engaged with the airport to, for example, light up the Munich airport center in rainbow colors, and was also very, very proactive in those cases. So he stood out, and we asked him, do you want to be a patron of the network and also stand in for the network when it comes to questions towards management? And that was a positive answer. So we regularly get back to him on this as well. And we had our first member conference, also setting up the statute of the network, like the charter of the network, and the first elections. In 2020, we know COVID hit, but despite that, we had some really good set up some minor events like afterworks with other companies. For example, I liaised a lot with other companies, and we tried to join forces and set up afterworks where we introduce each other as networks to another, but also talk about topics where we can help our employees and learn from each other. I think it's always about learning, a big factor of learning from each other in this case. And I'll mention a couple of those in the next slides. This year was very big. Ida Hobbit Day is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Transphobia. And it was very big. There was a very big promotion on social media. We are cooperating with Proud at Work, which is like a rooftop organization for LGBTIQ company networks in Germany. There is another one by the Ulala Group, and but we are very much cooperating with Proud at Work, and they set up like a social media event for Ida Hobbit Day. And it was very successful in boosting our member rates. It was very successful in boosting the reputation of the network. And we searched for a logo. That is the one that you already saw, and we'll see some more about. Now, this is a very big picture of events that we had in 2019 and 2019 and 2020. Looks very much like a big celebration. But however, I want just to point your view to the bottom left corner, where you see this yellow couch. That was our Pride takeoff event before the Pride in Frankfurt in 2019. Lots of people standing very close to each other. We had speeches there of some politicians, but also some management roles in the company, and a good get together with networks, with LGBTIQ company networks of other companies. And then on on the screen just right of it, you see me and one of our spokespersons, Timo, sitting on that couch alone in 2020, which is obviously the COVID version of it. There was no one, and we basically broadcasted it. I'm happy to actually share the YouTube recording to it, because it's still online. Because there we had a guest speaker on the persecution of gay male people in Germany up until mid of the 90s, which was very interesting. So and then up here, most of the pictures are actually that you see on top are from our Pride events in 2019 that we had in Munich, in Frankfurt, and in Berlin. And maybe pinpoint just your direction to the right side here as well. It's also communication on social, on the media, internal media. In this case, it's eBay, the intranet of Lufthansa, that went rainbow colors for Pride Month, basically without our knowing. So some things happen also then when it starts, and people like what you do, then some things happen without you knowing, but we very actively promoted the rainbow flag in our various locations, which has become a standard since then. So every year for Pride Month, you can see the flag in front of a lot of Lufthansa stations. And a very big event every year is the World AIDS Day on 1st of December, where we are raising funds for the AIDS Council in our various locations for the local AIDS councils. And last year we were able, on a hybrid version, being able to buy it on site, but also to make donations online, and pick up your teddy bear, because the AIDS councils produce teddy bears. For this, we were able to raise more than 4,500 euros. Quite a success. I would like a couple more highlights from last year as well as this year. So as I said before, the Pride takeoff took place last year completely online. This year it was a hybrid event, where we were able to have like 30 participants on site in the Lufthansa Aviation Center in Frankfurt, but most of them were online. And we also had like an online get together after that. We raised funds for the AIDS councils. For 2021, this has taken place, but it's not calculated through. It's not yet calculated completely. And the Ida Hobbit campaign is the one that you see on the right side with all the pictures, and that were released on social media. And it also includes. We are very happy that also some of our some of our board members agreed to this one, as Christina Förster, our Chief Customer Officer, and the Mirja Niggemann, our biggest HRler, so to say, alongside the network. So that was a big social media campaign where we are able to gain a good not just good reputation, but also a good amount of members additionally. We produced T-shirts and pins, and those pins in the form of an aircraft tail that you saw in rainbow colors. Those are very popular. So we will definitely have to produce more of those. We did online afterworks with other companies, as mentioned, for example, with the networks of EY and MAN, EY, the consulting company, and MAN, the truck company. We had the African Experience panel, which was also an online event, together with SAP, where we were talking about how to support our colleagues abroad, and especially in Africa, that are not so easy, and they have more issues maybe in outing themselves in the workplace or even in the family, from being expelled, etc. Whereas in Western Europe, we are already quite accepting in a lot of cases. And also there were minor Pride participations this year, mostly with like cycling or walking groups. And we've just finished a survey on diversity amongst our management, which then is supposed to result in a training for management, because we do see deficits there, here and there, and then it's going to result in a training for our management people on diversity issues after we've seen where the black legs are. And this year, also a couple of weeks ago, we organized an autumn event where we met up with at least 50 participants, which was actually possible, and we were really happy about it, in Seeheim, which is the conference center of Lufthansa, and had like a big networking weekend, but also included workshops in it on what the members actually want from the network. Because we still see ourselves in a kind of a startup phase, although we are already 3 years old. But the pandemic has slowed it down a bit. Yeah, and this is just a couple of pictures from this year on what has happened. And during summer, the pandemic has, as we know, has slowed down a bit in Europe. And this is mostly pictures from Munich and from Frankfurt Prides. You see the T-shirts, which have become a very visible icon for the network and the members of the network, and they're happy to show their pride. And the picture in the middle is from the Lufthansa Aviation Center in Frankfurt, where also the pride flag was raised. But as you see here, this is the pride flag, the usual pride flag. In our logo, it looks a little bit different, and I'll give you an insight on that. So our colleague from the Americas was mentioning to us that this the rainbow flag does not, especially in America, does not include. Not everyone feels included anymore. So that's why the progressive flag is used, and we use the progressive flag for our new logo, which also includes black and brown, but also the transgender flag on the top. And therefore is supposed to include all races, but also all identities that we can find, not to exclude anyone, because especially in America, it seems, and possibly also in Africa, people of color do not feel included by the rainbow flag so far. That's why we chose this one, and we are very proud of it, and we were able to have it after it was polished by brand management, which is the Lufthansa way to do things. We have been able to identify the final candidates, shortlist them. The one who we called out to the members as well, give us drawings of what you would like the logo to be, and they gave us back their proposals, and we shortlisted a couple, and the best proposal also won a Miles & More suitcase that was a suitcase that was sponsored by Miles & More.
So I know that there is always one Star Alliance aircraft in every fleet, I think from Lufthansa and Swiss and so on. Is there also one aircraft within the Lufthansa group where this tail is colored like this?
Not yet.
Maybe that's a goal for next year.
Maybe it is already a goal for next year. I'm not allowed to say more in this call. Exactly. There is, and then we had a workshop on the roadmap and the highlights for next year, and we are trying to expand this with executive, giving a little insight on, or not a little insight, but giving prizes to the ones who support us the most, executives who support us the most, and having not just our patron there, but we do see this here and there, especially through Ida Hobbit Day or through World AIDS Day. We realize there is some more in management that are more open and that are actually very supportive, and we want to give them our thank you by choosing the Executive of the Year, for example. But also we want to be more present with our employees by publishing queer stories, looking at our employees' stories and telling more about themselves and opening up on the internal channels. That's the idea here. Maybe also externally on our Instagram channel, for example, and have an allies dinner, for example. So like exchanging with allies, what do they do? And also I see Beyond, Ladies Beyond Flying here as especially as ally. So we are very happy to organize things together, such as be it a dinner or a lunch talk, or we can think about it. We will definitely attend Prides again and have Pride shirts again. That's nothing new actually, but the Power Up channel you will not know. It's basically a network of networks trying to bring the different networks within the Lufthansa Group together. And we did realize that, and that's what I mentioned before. Every channel you open, every communication channel you open, you need to play, and you need to have responsible people for it to be able to do it in a parallel way. And that's why communication hasn't been our biggest asset in the past, and we know we have to do that. This is why we are looking at this a little more in detail in the next year. That's why it says communicate with the plan on number 4. And this is our setup, which is has been quite the same from the beginning. So there's Ralph and Fabian, who are our head spokespersons. Fabian just newly elected during our members conference last month. And we have the different teams of events where events are being organized. We have team communications. We have team communications for the different channels, as I mentioned, team partnerships for relationships to different other networks, internally, externally, other companies, or collaborations. That would be me. And Team Safe Haven is basically the ones where colleagues can turn to when they have questions, when they are uncertain, when they have uncertainty about outing, when they are being discriminated in really bad terms in the workplace, or generally want peer-to-peer support. And I think that's a very important one, and that's also one that I have realized sets us apart a bit from other LGBTIQ company networks, because they don't always seem to have this. It's quite interesting, but I think it's very well accepted. And above here on the right side, you see all the spokespersons from the different locations. I mostly put 3 letter codes here that you might be able to identify from Munich, Berlin, Hamburg, Cape Town, the Americas, Vienna, Cologne, Düsseldorf, and our guy from Brussels. What you also see is there's a lot of male faces here, not that many female faces here. We are looking to change this. We know we have a shortage of active female members. We are already very proud of the ones who are active and active female members. And that's why if you are a Lufthansa employee, the call out is there. Feel free to get in touch, and that'd be great. Is there one more I wanted to say? So, and Timo up on the top he's basically our contact person within the Lufthansa Group when it comes to organizing things that we have to also get permission for, etc. Yeah, questions to this one or one of the pages before.
So, ladies, don't be shy and ask some questions, or maybe you have some comments. Monovara has a question.
Okay.
Hi. Good morning. I don't know. It's afternoon, I guess. Good morning from Toronto, Canada. That is a very nice presentation. So much of good information. I just wanted to know, besides the Lufthansa group, are you aware of any other airline or airlines that has an extensive Diversify program or plan that stands out? Like, since you do the conversation with our other airlines as well, I'm just curious.
Yeah, very good question. No, thanks. Absolutely. There is. So I'm part of the. It's called. Maybe you've heard of it. The NGPA. It's the National Gay Pilots Association, originating from the US, and they were originated from gay pilots, as it says. But they, in the meantime, they have developed, and they now see themselves. They just need to change the name. They see themselves as an international community of people, of LGBTIQ plus people in aviation. So there, I'm actually in touch with people from United, from Air Canada, from Virgin Atlantic, from Air France, from KLM, from some other airlines. And we also have direct outside the Lufthansa Group. Obviously, we have Lufthansa Group employees, but that's mostly my connection. But also through this, I also have direct connections now very closely to KLM is very supportive. KLM Over the Rainbow, the Equal Network it is called at United, for example, is quite active, and I also know some of the guys from Air Canada that are very active. Personnel, it is called at I don't know if I pronounce this correctly, at Air France. They do lots of things, like just lately they had a Pride flight as well for I don't know, for one special day event. And yeah, so we are in touch with those. Are you interested to get in touch with the Toronto one?
Yeah, if you provide the information, that'll be great. I'm just curious because I'm a former Air Canada employee, and I've dealt, because I was in in-flight, so we have a diverse group of LGBTQ population, and I had very good rapport with all of them because somehow I was able to relate to them very well. For some reason, I think I worked in another company where my manager was a part of the LGBTQ. So I don't know, it's the close relationship or whatever that always makes it very easy for me to relate to them. So I'm just curious. That's why I was asking. And thank you. That's really good information.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, I could. There's also like it's 2 YouTube videos that are basically our Pride takeoffs, for example, from 2020 and 2021, with our discussions that we had in our. It's where we also invite the other networks, so next year, Ladies Beyond Flying is definitely going to get an invitation to this one. I'm happy for you guys to follow us on Instagram. I'm afraid the Yammer channel that has a QR code here is only available to Lufthansa employees, and they're also at the moment only for non-flying. So only for the people in the office. Unfortunately, we are looking to change this, and the usual or the old sign-up way is sending an email to Diversifly at dlh.de, and but I'm thinking that it would still be interesting for others to be for externals to be part of this this newsletter. So maybe start following us on Instagram, and I'll definitely look out to how we do this deal with the sending a newsletter to everyone externally also.
Any other questions? Yeah, Zach, Elaine, Sharina, Anne.
So Zach is there. Okay, because I don't see the participants. Yeah, Zach, I hope I presented the NGPA correctly.
Hi, Björn, and hello, everyone. Yeah, this is Zach here. I'm currently in New York, so that's why I was a bit late, and I hope it's not too loud. There's a construction going on next door. Great presentation, Björn. It was really nice. Björn and I have been in touch for a while, as he very kindly introduced already and did a good job of introducing it. I'm responsible for, now we call it European Pride in Aviation Network. Becoming more and more official. It's a chapter of the NGPA US, basically, which is the LGBTIQA plus aviation community worldwide. And at the moment, we are creating it as a nonprofit organization in Germany for all of Europe, for the entire European aviation community. So pilots, flight attendants, general aviation, ground crew, etc. So yeah, that's about it.
Other questions?
So, Elaine, Sharina, and usually they are not so shy. So
it was an excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Björn. And, it's just really wonderful to see this kind of progress and the work that you put into this. It's great. How would you, actually, one question that springs to mind is, how long has this sort of taken you? I mean, the sort of overall journey, so to speak, once when you first had the sort of initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think so it started as an unofficial network, as I mentioned before. 2018 was founded as official in 2018. I think it was probably a year, half a year to a year of preparation to the official founding, and because it's very much relies on you always have political influences going around when starting up something like this. Here it was basically political relations within the Lufthansa group, finding supporters, making sure the right management people are aligned with it and like the idea, are supportive, and they or not necessarily like the idea, but still are okay with it, because the actual supporters usually come our way in the process. But I think it was like half a year to a year from the idea that to make this an official one. And then it is very important to keep, and that's what we realized, to keep those supporting allies as on workers level. So we are, maybe I haven't mentioned this either. We are, and maybe someone is in the call as well, or was in the call. We are very closely connected, and I have a call later with them, to the female network of the Lufthansa group, of the Lufthansa Technik as well. They have a very strong female network as well, who do similar things like lunch talks, etc. And we also invite each other to our events, vice versa. So that's very interesting. And this is also how I got here, because it was
Mareike.
Thank you, Mareike, who invited me to this one. And it's very important on the network level to collaborate and to push each other, but also you always need allies in the management, especially in an employee network. Allies in management that stick out are very important. That stick out by like supporting your events, and then like hang on to those and make them your face to some extent, some part, because then it's at some point it's easier to get decisions done, and for example.
Interesting, thank you.
Cool.
So if there's no further question, then thank you, Björn. That was a very inspiring presentation, and it would be very beneficial for both networks to communicate also in the future, inspire each other, and also maybe help each other to grow the network and maybe also learn from best practices. I can just share some of the latest information. So we are meanwhile 554 members to date, and we use various WhatsApp channels for topics like the event, sustainability, NDC, aviation, jobs. We also started the Lean-In Circle, that we also have a presence from external. And what I'm now very proud of is that we have a great lineup of external guest speakers for January, February, March, April, and May for the Aviation Women panel. And I'm looking very much forward to have all these airline and industry body representatives talking about their specific perspectives on the industry and also on all the topics around diversity and inclusion, but also business transformation and how the future of our aviation industry should look like. I thank you again for this great presentation, and I hope we see each other very soon again. If we don't see each other anymore in this year, I wish you all a very successful and especially healthy 2022. I wish you that all your dreams come true and that we see each other in person also very soon in a very healthy environment. So take care and stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.